Okay. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. All right. Hello. I'm Jenny Goodo. I'm the executive director here at Wood Library.
And I'm Carrie Magnan. I'm the certification supervisor and one of the library's notaries.
Yes.
No, we have two.
We usually say some kind of joke about notaries, but
Yeah, I'm not available right now.
yeah, there it is.
And is anybody joining us for the first time? Yeah. So we've been doing.
So that means double the amount of beef Wellingtons for you.
Can't leave until you have at least two. We've been doing this, what, for the year? We started the last time, no, two.
I don't know.
You've been
This stuff every time, and I just nod my head.
Yes.
I don't know.
I think we started doing the live one last year in January.
Maybe.
We've been doing it ever since.
Okay.
So
Whatever you say, Carrie.
Okay. It's like the second Tuesday of the month. And we alternate. So this month is my turn. For those of you who've been with us for a while, I tend to talk about things that have happened like 50 years ago. This is very unusual.
Usually Carrie's trapped in the 70s. Can't get out of the 70s.
That is very true.
You ask me if I remember things from the 70s, and I do not. Can't help you there.
This case is like super current. It happened a couple of years ago, and the trial was held. We're going to talk about this. The sentencing happened last month. There are still developments coming. I was coming up here. I had gone on to do something with my podcast here and was looking something up, and there are more revelations about this case coming out like today.
This is a big deal for you.
It doesn't get any more for them. Yeah, it's a big deal for me. I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's not happened in 1975.
I know.
I'm like, how am I going to go about it? So this is a case. Let me ask you this too. How many of you have had beef fights? Okay. Wow, a lot of people.
Wow. How do the beef fights compare to an actual? Really? You have thumbs up here.
Okay.
So does this taste like restaurant quality? Is what you're saying?
Thing of roast.
Yeah.
So how many of you have actually made beef Wellington?
Wow.
Well, it's a somewhat complicated dish. We're going to talk about beef Wellington, how you make it.
Should have just had you make it, Peggy, for everybody here.
Actually, so we were talking about beef Wellington bites because we were talking about that for the last 10 days. And one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, you should just make it." And I was like, "It involves like the tenderloin and like a lot of work."
Yes.
And, like, the kitchen is not my
Your forte.
Yes.
These are more your speed.
And these are more mine. Yes, thinking of the air fryer, that's
Except your first batch came out flat as pancakes.
yeah. So my husband and I, we taste tested these on Saturday for lunch, and I cooked them in the oven. And so people knew I was doing this. I came into work Monday, and so Jenny was like, "How did they turn out?" And normally when I describe them, it's, "Oh my gosh, it was the best thing I've ever had. It was so delicious." And they came out like meat cookies. They looked like, and I was like, so we each had one. And my husband's a real sport. And so out of 5, we each ate one, and the other 3 are still sitting in our refrigerator. So I don't know if we'll go back to them. Anyway, so we're going to start by talking about this case that truly rocked Australia. It's been like the biggest case that happened there in decades. It has consumed all media. We're going to talk about that. So it started off on Sunday, July 29th, 2023. Pretty current. 2 couples ventured to Victoria, which is a state in southeastern Australia, to join Erin Patterson for lunch at her house in Leongatha, and I'm probably not pronounced. That's her house there. She and her ex-husband kind of had that built together, and she invited her in-laws and her husband's in-laws. So her mother-in-law and her sister and her husband.
Okay. But not her ex-husband?
We're going to talk about that too.
Okay.
And so because Australia is the seasons are opposite of, so July in 2020, we drew down. So it was a pretty cool day. The temperature was like 50 degrees. 15
okay. All right. Was that a question you thought I was going to ask?
Yeah. I was like, I was from there.
How warm was it down and looked up?
I'm glad you asked it. It was about 50 degrees that day. And a hearty meal is beef.
They'll warm you right up.
No, right? That's like a hearty meal, like something you might have in the winter, because it's got like this nice piece of beef and like this puff pastry. Yeah, just where is Leongatha? Okay, has anybody been to Australia? Nobody.
So no one here to correct you.
I know.
So,
No one here to correct you. Okay, so I meant to bring. This is Melbourne, or as they say, Melbourne.
Okay, here.
And it's right here. So this took place like down here. The Glee and Gotham is down in this area. So like, it's about 85 miles southeast of Melbourne, and it is in Victoria, which is the second smallest state in Australia. I don't know if you know a lot about Australia.
I do not. But I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, so don't worry.
It was because I'm looking at this and I'm like, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 7 different colors. Wait, so this one is actually a territory. No, so Australia is a little bit different. It's set up to actually it's about the same size as the 48 U.S. states. Like, it's comparable. That's how big Australia is. I found this one ground picture. I didn't put it in here, but putting Australia like on top of the 48 contiguous states, very similar size. So, let's talk about the hostess of the luncheon. So her name is Erin Patterson, although she was born Erin Sutter. She was born in 1974. She grew up in a suburb of Melbourne. It was hard to find a lot of information about. I don't know if that's just because maybe things are a little bit different in Australia. I just couldn't find any information or any pictures of her family, her parents. She has a sister. I don't know if it's older or younger. She had a variety of jobs. In her 20s, she was an air traffic controller. She worked for some animal wildlife organization. And at that animal wildlife organization, she met a young man named Patterson.
Yeah.
Yes. She had a spotty work history. And I think the air traffic controlling job, that was where they called her Scott. She was a little odd.
They call it to her face?
She was actually... She was fired from her job as an air traffic controller because she would clock in and then she would leave. And then
that's not allowed?
Would come back. And then she would clock in. Oh,
I was doing that.
It wasn't. So she was fired from that job because she was caught on a CCTV camera and
Leaving?
coming back.
Oh, okay.
It's like, okay, yeah, you're not actually supposed to do that. So she was fired. Yeah, you caught me. Yeah, she was okay with it. But she did come from a wealthy family. 2007, she nearly $2 million in her rent.
Wow.
Which would be paid out in 8-year installments, $250,000.
Wow.
So look that up. So $2 million then is roughly $3 million today. So it was a lot of money.
So she didn't really need to work.
She didn't really need to work. Yeah, and she and Simon got married in 2008, and they ended up having 2 children. And there are no pictures of the children anywhere. I'm not even sure. I know her oldest child was a son. I think the youngest child was a daughter, but there's just not a lot of information. So let's talk a little bit about their relationship, Erin and so they get married in 2007 at the Baptist church where his uncle Ian Wilkinson. So Ian is married to Heather. That's his wife's name, and Heather is the sister of her mother-in-law, Simon. So Heather and Ian Wilkinson are Simon's.
Okay.
And they get married where he's a Baptist minister, and they get married in his church.
Okay.
And her family did not attend the wedding.
That's never a good sign.
Yes. So one of Simon's brothers walked her down.
They ever say why? Family?
Okay, I did. And I only heard that on this podcast. I never saw that anywhere else. Don't know anything about her parents. Other than they were professionals, professors. So the first few years of their marriage, they just traveled around Australia. They didn't work. Simon was a civil engineer. They liked camping, and they took off and traveled around Western Australia. But so she's in her 30s when they get married, and she's not thinking it's time to settle. So they do. They settle down in Perth. And she had a really difficult pregnancy and birth. She had an emergency C-section, and she and the baby were in the hospital for a while. And then her husband was like, what we should do with the baby? We should go camping. We should go travel around and go camping. Which they did for a little while.
Okay.
I did camping with like a 6-week-old baby. No.
But there are people that do it.
I'm like, I can't imagine. No. I think she also, so in addition to having a difficult delivery, I think she had some postpartum issues too.
Yeah.
And maybe they were like, maybe Simon's like, hey, we're happy taking a newborn on a camping trip. Because when that all on their mother's head. So they're camping around, and she gets so fed up, she actually leaves. She flies back to Perth and leaves
With the
Simon
baby.
and the baby
Oh,
on this camping trip. Which
yikes.
seems also
Yeah.
just to get like that leadery.
Yeah.
So they eventually leave Perth and they move to Victoria in 2013. She has another baby around that time. And in November 2015, she just moves out. It's her own place.
Okay.
And the relationship between the two, so cool. They were raising children, they were living separately, but they had those two children and got along pretty well. She was very involved in the church that Simon's uncle was ministering. And so she would go to church, he would go to the same church, his parents went there, his aunt went there. They all knew each other.
Yeah.
Friendly.
Do you get the impression that was her only family, or did she?
Yes, I think she relied on his parents a lot because she relationship.
Yeah.
If her mother passes away, she inherits $900,000 from her. So there's a lot of money in this.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she did, I don't know if she and Simon did this together, because I'm not sure what the financial situation was, but she loaned his family a lot of money to his brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Interest-free payments to little houses.
Wow.
So she was very generous with his family.
So whose idea was the divorce? Was it hers or was it his?
They never actually, I'm not sure what he got.
It was mutual.
It was mutual. Yeah. Like they just together. So the relationship remained cordial until about 2022. So this is a current picture of that, relatively current. Very hard to find any old pictures of either one of that picture that I had on the side when I was talking about her was like the only picture I ever saw of her that was from her.
Yeah. Wow.
So I don't know if like things are different in Australia with information. At least I have no idea if there's more of privacy concerns. So this is Simon, obviously, and how they're to the area in today. And so in 2022, Erin became extremely upset with Simon because for the first time when he filed his tax return, he listed himself. So maybe they were still like, I'm not sure exactly things how you filed in Australia, but maybe there's something where they're like married but separately, like you can do here.
Yeah.
And he lists himself as separate, and she just were absolutely pissed. She was like, this is going to change like child support payments. Just funny when you think about how much money she's inherited. Like, that was a huge concern. And it just was upsetting that tilted the balance. She saw of this cordial relationship, the separation that they. And Simon always claimed that was just a mistake. His accountant absolutely found that as being separated. She didn't want him to do that. But Erin was just like a little bit obsessed with that and really angry. So we're into the COVID lockdown. So she, like a lot of people during COVID, hey, I'm at home, or I'm not working as much, I'm looking up a hobby.
Time to make some beef Wellington.
Time to make some Wellington. She discovers her new hobby, and it's foraging the mushrooms.
Oh.
Which so she collected a lot of different types of mushrooms and dried them. She bought a dehydrator in April of 2023. And she was actually on a true crime Facebook page posting pictures of her. This is her dehydrator with her mushrooms in here. And that's one of her posts that she left on the Facebook post, whatever she was commenting on.
I like how someone put the
just
throw up emoji on there. So wait, why is she posting this on a true crime?
That's a good question. So we're going to get back to my name.
It's so weird.
So a little bit off.
There's other places to post that.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more fitting.
Yeah. Yes. So just remember that picture. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit about death cap mushrooms. And
those are safe to eat, right?
Yeah, we're trying. So they are extremely toxic, really dangerous to eat. And they originated in Europe, but this century they're all. I have no idea how mushrooms would get from like Europe to like Asia, but
probably, yeah.
I don't know why you would take one of the most toxic mushrooms. I don't know. I can't explain. But in Australia, they're found underneath trees.
Okay.
And so, like in April and May of 2023, there's a couple places in around where she lives where people have spotted death cat mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And they're posting things on this website, or as they say in Australia, website. I listen to this podcast. Sometimes it's hard to understand what they're saying.
Oh, sure.
Wait,
Did you laugh every time they said that?
website? Yeah, I started saying it like this. So they actually were talking about this guy. He's like a mushroom expert. I think his name is or something. And they were calling his name is Dr. James something, and they were calling him Fungi Jim. And I was like, is it Funky Jim or Fungi Jim? I could
Not
not,
phony, Jim.
or I think it was fungi, like
Fungi.
but they were calling him fungi. But it just came, it almost sounded like Fungi Jim. It's not Fungi Jim. It's funny. It's fungi. I don't know. So there's a couple places on this iNaturalist website. And like, hey, these dead cat mushrooms are out there. Like, you've got to watch out.
Yeah.
Don't go near them because they're extremely toxic. Right, so now we're going to talk about the people who are invited into the lunch. Any questions about mushrooms? These are Simon's parents, Don and Gail Patterson, and Heather and Ian Wilkinson are at the top. And Heather and Gail are sisters.
Yeah.
So Erin invites them over for lunch, and she also invites Simon to lunch too. And they're close. She wants to maintain a relationship with them. Although she has expressed her anger to his parents about Simon filing the tax return is really upsetting to her. And in the months leading up to this luncheon, she's dropping hints to, hey, I really want you to come to lunch because I might not be able to do a lunch like this again in the future.
Okay.
They think that she's going to announce that she has a hit.
Yeah.
Which she just
At this lunch?
At this lunch. Yeah. And Selene cancels Erin the date text. And she really agreed that she would not go. And explains I spent all this money, I got this nice cut of meat, I've spent all this time, I'm like preparing this food, had your parents over, I really want you to be here. And he's not.
He just didn't want to go.
Yeah, we're going to talk about why he didn't open in a little bit. A couple times I have to talk about. So, meanwhile, Gail and Heather are really excited about going to the house because they want to see her garden.
Okay.
Which is weird because it's in her. And they also are very excited to look at her pantry, which is apparently a thing in Australia. And I'm like, I hope nobody comes to my house to look at the pantry.
So to look at.
I don't know, the way they've organized it.
Are you sure that's
that's the thing, I guess, in Australia. Yeah, they were super excited to look for pantry.
Is anyone else interested in that?
Has anybody like gone to a party and been like, I cannot wait to get there and look at the pantry? The part I can understand, the pantry just seemed like that must be in Australia. It wasn't very
rude.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she was like, maybe Erin had been saying, you guys got to come over.
Let's see my pantry.
I'm have you there. I'm going to make this nice lunch and I'll show you.
We got to go.
So I was pantry. They are. Yeah, they are. Maybe they hit the house like custom house. Maybe they did some sort of I have no idea. I never saw any pictures of the pantry.
Oh, now I'm disappointed.
No, but they were very excited about. She was amenable to showing her pantries. So
it does sound weird. I feel like you replace the word pantry with something.
I'm not going to do that. Okay, we're going to move on from pantry. We're going to talk about beef Wellington. So this is a picture of what beef Wellington looks like, right? So it's nice, tender.
It looks exactly like what's on the back table.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. Just substituted a picture of those. So it's got, this is like the mushroom paste that goes around it. And then this is prosciutto. And then this is the puff pastry. So it looks really good. But she served these in a very unusual way, right? Normally you would make a beef Wellington, right? And you would do like that picture. So you would slice it.
Yeah.
She made 6 individual beef Wellingtons.
Sorry, like our beef bites back there.
Yeah. So it'd be like, you come over, and I have a beef Wellington on my dish that I made just for me, and then I also have one I made just for you.
Yeah.
So that's what she did. She made 6. She made 1 for her, 4 for the guests, and 1 for her husband.
Didn't show up.
So there's a little bit of discrepancy about where the name beef Wellington was. People think it was probably named after Duke of Wellington, because he was popular when this meat dish.
Okay.
So,
I hope I get popular enough where I can get a dish named after me.
what kind of dish?
I don't know. I don't know.
Good question.
The good emote's a good word.
Yeah.
Your name.
But I think. Now we're yeah.
Beef good emote.
A good one.
We have a beef good.
That's yours. I mean, no, it's not beef promoted. Beef good enough.
It's not beef good enough. It's beef good emote.
It doesn't have to be beef. It can really be anything.
I know.
Anyways, we'll talk about that.
We will. I hope not. We don't need to.
Okay. So, as I said, the lunch is it's normally served in a large portion. Erin made into portions and served on different plates. And they only knew this because one of the people at the luncheon survived and told the police. He was like, "Oh yeah, the four of us have one colored plate, and then we had great plates, and she had orange."
It's interesting how he picked up on that then too.
Yeah. And so there were a lot of questions about them. And Simon, her husband, was like, "Yeah, she probably she didn't have a full set of plates,
Yeah.
so she's a
Look at
American."
her pantry.
Yeah, like here in 2.9 million.
Yeah.
So she does not have a stuff of dishes. That's crazy. I just find that crazy. So they come over, they need lunch, seem to have a good time, and then they leave. Erin's let them see the garden. I want to say yes. It's not a very man pantry, and
Nice. Sounds like a nice lunch.
it sounds like a nice afternoon. But by the late hours of so it was a Saturday, by the late hours of that night and early into Sunday, all of the four people, the guests there, were extreme and lightning calls. They real and it's very painful. They all go to the hospital on Sunday. And by Monday, they're all in the hospital and they're in medically induced comas.
Ooh.
And some of them are experiencing like multi-organ shock.
Yeah. And this is not a good way to go.
No, it's very painful. It was very difficult. So liver failure was the one common among the stomach issues. The liver failure was common among all the common symptom they all experienced. John Patterson was given a liver transplant.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because they thought that if he had that, he would survive.
Yeah.
And he did not. So Simon's parents both passed away. She passed away first, then he and Heather Wilkinson also passed away. So his uncle is the only one who survives. Ian Wilkinson. And he is.
I wonder how he survived.
I'm not sure.
Do you think he probably didn't eat as much as everyone else?
I forget which one. One of the gentlemen at the party ate his wife's portion, part of his wife's portion too. So it might have been Don. Can't remember. But they are all very sick. Three of them have passed away in that, which is very so. An investigation is, and Erin Patterson quickly becomes a social.
Oh sure.
Because she also claimed to have issues, although she has an eating disorder. And so she makes lunch, and at the luncheon, Heather and Gail bring dessert. So one person brings a fruit tray, and one person brings this orange cake. And so after everybody leaves, Erin eats the entire cake, and then she's like,
Yeah.
So that was her explanation as to why she did not get sick, because
I see.
but then she regurgitated it.
Yeah.
So the hospital quickly determines the source of the illness that all four of these people had. It's the death count. They're able to determine that because the death count, there's something, the toxins in there were actually found in the men's room, not the women's room. In the men, they were able to determine that they had ingested death mushrooms. Erin is housing in the morning. She's at her house, presses it.
Yeah.
What happened at this luncheon? She's like, I have no idea and don't know what happened.
1 minute they're looking at my pantry, then
The next minute, they're in the hospital. They're on the coma 2 days later. She is So the hospital staff is so concerned about her. They think she's also experiencing this. She goes to the hospital and she checks herself out against medical, but she actually signed this document. I'm signing myself out against. So then one of the doctors calls the police and says, you have to go to her house and you have to get her. And while you're there, see if there's any of that meat on and we're
Because I want some.
for free. And I could not post a picture of the meat Wellington on here because it's left. It's
So
3 days.
yeah.
More shit.
Yeah.
You're welcome to look for it.
So she actually saved it?
She had some leftovers in the fridge. And there was some, yeah.
But was it the toxic leftover? Because wouldn't you just get rid of that?
So you would think
Okay.
she actually fed some of that to her children. But she removed the mushroom paste before she let them eat it. Would you ever get your children if you know?
Don't want to waste leftovers.
That's the only. But yeah, but like, why would you do that? That's just crazy.
Like removing the paste seems like that would be difficult, right?
Yeah, you would have to break it apart, which is probably in the pictures. It looks like it's all breaking apart. It just looks in these pictures.
When did she feed her kids this? Do you know?
I think it had to be like Sunday. So never mind. We had a leftover portion from Sunday.
So all
Didn't
these
show up, and she had made one for.
so all these people are getting super sick. It's the party, and she's as a mother, say she was innocent. You know what's great advice? Feed my kids this meal that got all these other people.
That is what 4 people to being hospitalized and medically induced colon.
Okay.
So people are like, okay, but what kind of error? It's crazy. This is actually a quote that she wrote. So police are talking to her that whole week that these people were in hospital. And she claimed that she had no knowledge of any kind of fungi. She'd never had one. She had never purchased one, even though she had posted these pictures on a true crime website or a true crime Facebook page. She was like, why would you do that? So there's some theories about why she did that. She's also seen on like a CCTV. So Australia, they have things called skips. They're called errands. It's where you go to take recycling, right? So you see her on camera, pulling up her car, getting out of the car with a dehydrator and like putting it. And when the police search her house, they find the guide to how to use the dehydrator in her kitchen. It's pretty clear that she had a dehydrator and yes, just claiming she was one. She claimed she had never been near the places where the cat mushrooms were found, even though I think it was actually her phone GPS indicated that she had actually been in both of those. She turned over her phone to the police. They claimed that it was her fault. Like and they pick it up and there's no PIN number. You know, I'm normally, everybody else is, you go on my side, I have a PIN number. And it's just set for factory settings. There's nothing that she's done to this. So they believe that there is another phone out there that she was using. They called it phone A during the trial, and she gave them phone B. And was, this is the phone. I don't have a PIN number, and I never changed it. This is my phone. She also claimed that the mushrooms that she used were purchased in 2 different places. One of them was, they called it Willis. And I was like, I don't know what it is. So I had to look it up. I look up what are grocery stores in Australia. It comes up like in Australia because we said Woolworths here, right? Totally different.
Oh,
but it's like their version of them. Yeah. So she's I got to remember. And so then there's panic. Like, oh my gosh, Wegmans is selling. I'm not saying Wegmans, but like this grocery store in Australia is selling these toxic mushrooms. Yeah. Which then she claims that she bought them at an Asian grocery store, which is what she had made in her dehydrated. I was listening to this podcast, and they actually had police going into all of these different Asian grocery stores trying to figure out which somebody have cat mushrooms, and that just eventually stopped her. So, like, there's nobody selling this. She didn't these. So she's pretty quickly proving herself to be a little untrue.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
She was formally arraigned on 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder in November of 2023. And she pled not guilty to all the charges in May. She's been held in a women's prison, the security women's prison, from the time that she pled guilty. And the prosecutors actually wanted to charge her with additional felonies,
Okay.
which I don't want to say too much about. We're going to get to in a couple.
Okay.
I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
So the jury is called. There's 10 men and 5 women in the jury pool, 12 jury members, and 3 alternates. Somebody along the way was removed from the jury pool. This didn't happen 14 jurors.
Oh,
I didn't know that. So they had 12 regular jury members and 2. So something happened to more of the jury. I think in Australia, they are very secure and conscious and protective of what happens in the trial and in jury.
yeah, not here.
They will never identify the jury members.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think sometimes here you'll have trial and jurors will come out after.
Yeah, I know, and they'll talk about it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is talked about. I don't think they do that in Australia. So after 8 weeks of testimony, so this happens May and June of this year.
All right.
There's testimony on both sides. She and her husband both testify trial, among other people. Ian Wilkinson testified trial, other witnesses testifying. So after 8 weeks of testimony, evidence, and cross-examination, both sides offer their closing arguments. So this is I'm checking out the books. I'm going to switch over to use. So we're going to listen to the closing arguments from both sides, from her attorneys, and we're not actually. We're going to hear somebody talk about the prosecution presented and what the defense presented.
Do you need to put the sound up, or are you good?
Oh, it's the-
Well, saying he was more than John to the jury and told that she got out of these days. But that word from him says he's going to drop you are. And husbands where you not guilty to murdering John Husband, Dale Husband, and Heather Wilkinson, and also to be taking murdering Daniel. Now the parents of the Australian husband, Simon Husband, and also Simon's and Heather Wilkinson. It's been going out at the 8 week, and it goes with 9 week when praying from one. This is the clothing arguments held at the end of all the others from those witnesses. The Boston has quite their chance to sum up the matters before. So in Boston, they equal and enough evidence in the jury find Yorin committed murders. There's no house. She has complete control over the relatives that she did arrest the she morally agreed. So when she spoke to one single bed bug, she said they mutual bed relatives, but that was what she did to make sure they wasn't very well in its world. That there was enough evidence for the jury to find she did the lean by the weeks. The 4 months the source that mushrooms after she seen posts on website that detailed that they were growing her. I think all that one here as well that the get to be unwell that she knew about suspicious stuff before. But in the prosecution side, the jury we've got all the evidence here. We'll still puzzling. Right, that be completely clear. Please try hints. And just after these pieces of evidence together, picture or picture will make it clear to you here about it. The defense action news that you saw analogy against the prosecution away said, well, wasn't in the jigsaw puzzle. The Brilliant Five jigsaw puzzle, picture's already on the box. Prosecution did. They got into jigsaw, they saw the picture on the box, which was Erin Patterson was guilty. Then they tried to jam other pieces to fit that narrative. He was a jury, can't do that. We've got to drive that, look at all these pieces of evidence individually, work out what it showed, and that would show that she's not guilty. But they look at this thing, Erin Patterson has trial rise, she got a trial for that. Erin Patterson hasn't, well, she got a trial for that. You might not even believe what Erin has, when she got a witness, and put that style as well. There's not enough evidence to inform you to primary Jimmy John read it down. There are a couple of things that particularly on the they said, we should find her did have that marker important flexibility. But there been that different toxic responses with the evidence, but then early on was strong, way more than the other guests, he's younger than the other guests. And also he got paid after this left and thrown out. Sure, she wasn't badly unwell, badly unwell, but she was unwell. He also said some of the stuff that she's in, some of these rise around the dehydrator and don't eat some question, Howard. They all she didn't because she had it there, it's sobbing, pulling sobbing hospital, saying, is this the day I died on? And she went, about for that, you need to pour my parents. It's in that moment, that was, and that led to it. Series of raw that she's not proud of, that she completed all this, and that she did because she was wired, she's not barely blind. So almost like it never happened. For the defense test, that was the moment. The lawyers was where the wheels started. She knew from that moment on that she could get wired for that. And so it's like a little bit things about the jury went. You got the museum stuff that's up and out for a while. For where attention wasn't for. Really important. You don't use this conduct greatly for it to the deep beneficial stuff after lunch. It was wrong, it was lies, but it was threatening that you shouldn't fall in with her intention before lunch is for less. That's not why they didn't consider and as a jury, you should. But folks got that overthrown until Tuesday, 24th of June. That court justice would be all individuals jury charge or directions. That aspect of the explain to them how they can use certain pieces of evidence very quickly as war. They have to light up when it comes to them considering their verdicts. A minimum of 2 days is told them, so that means that the very earliest will fill the jury will probably see what's going on when they'll be doing. And what the jury does, the father can see their verdicts, they have to read that is.
It's interesting because when I was listening, I listened to this podcast. It's called Mushroom Casting.
What's it?
Mushroom Cast Daily.
Okay.
Or Mushroom Case Daily. And there were true crime reporters and legal reporters who reported on this case every single day and summarized words. So I didn't find out about this podcast until I really started working on this presentation. And I listened to a lot of the summaries. And when I was listening to these, I was like out taking walks, listening to these podcasts. You know, I remember one time thinking, maybe it is possible. She just accidentally put this mushroom, this big mushroom, and maybe she did. Right? When they're going to come to me for this dehydrator, and I'm just going to pretend I don't know. And I'm going to be misleading about some of this because maybe it's all just a coincidence.
Sure.
Maybe it's all the defense is saying. Like maybe that's what happened. So the jury takes 6 days to reach a verdict. So in that, they say there's going to be at least 2 days where they're going through all this evidence. And I started thinking maybe there were people on the jury who felt the same way. Like maybe, okay, there's all these things that make her look like she's guilty, but maybe this was just a terrible, tragic accident. None of it, she didn't intend to do this. This was just a really awful thing. So, Sunday,
2 days ago.
2 days ago, I am doing stuff at warehouse. I'm hanging up laundry. I'm going to go back and listen to one podcast.
Yeah.
While down there, they had this whole bombshell.
Oh, that's crazy.
No,
Were you excited?
Yeah, I was like, what is happening? Because I'm already got this mostly done.
Yeah.
Like, what's the bombshell? So the bombshell is that in pre-trial testimony, her husband testified that she tried to poison. He thinks she poisoned him on 3 separate occasions before the poisoning.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was really sick in these poisoning attempts. And after the second poisoning, he actually had the house with his bowels. Because he was so badly injured, right? They were going on these camping trips. And she was making him his own individual serving of chicken.
You think she was using mushrooms again?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't think so, because that didn't come up as the point.
All right.
I don't think they know what she was doing. So the jury did not hear this. This was pre-trial testimony. So it works a little, the legal system is. And the prosecution intended to have 2 trials simultaneous. They were going to have her on trial for the attempted murder and the murders that occurred at the luncheon. And then the poisonings were attempted poisonings. Attempted murder.
2 separate cases.
Yeah, so they would have them tried separate, have them tried together so that all of this evidence could be admitted at the same time.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason, the prosecutors dropped the charges against about Erin Patterson. So the jury never heard it. So then when this comes out, I'm like, yeah, pretty sure it's not a tragic accident.
Yeah.
Like, I think she has a history of doing this. And there are still things before I came up here to things like and story today is that there was information about what Gail Patterson was saying at the hospital, like her legs. She just was saying why she was in a lot of pain and little bit she's experiencing multiple organ failure. She's why is this happening? So what happens next? So the sentence is essentially happening in a couple of weeks. Right. So she's gonna be sentenced.
So she found guilty?
She wasn't a good
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I forgot for that. So she found guilty of all the charges of the attempted murder and the murder. Okay, all three. And she is to be life in prison for each of the murder convictions, and then 25 years to life in attempted. Victim impact statements will be allowed, and the prosecutor in the case expects a lot.
Yeah.
Probably Simon's will testify. She will testify. They will had children too, so they will probably testify.
Probably, is it Ian Wilkinson himself?
Yes.
Like,
He testified in the trial too.
Yeah.
So he was actually a source of information. Like I said, like a broken plates. And that was another thing that played into, I don't think this was so random. I mean, this was planned. She to put the poison
Sure.
beef Wellingtons on these cold plates, and she would have the other ones, like orange plate for her, which is the non-poison. Under Australian law, her attorneys can file an appeal for convictions. They had to file within 28 days after sentence. So the sentence will happen at the end of this month, so at the end of September. They've already said when the file appeals, and probably. And we're going to remember the victims' cities. I think we talked a lot about.
Yes.
Not a lot about. Before. Why? Prosecution. Why? So. No. They never had a reason why she did this. They thought it had something to do with her being angry with Simon about this. Yes.
I wonder too if they maybe owed her money.
Maybe.
And she's just, I had enough helping this family out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think COVID played a role in, and just
Mentally.
I think she had some mental health issues before that. But they were never able to come up with a justification for we're doing this.
Just
Yes.
one other.
Yep.
It would seem that if it was an accident, she would be devastated and had incredible remorse.
So when she was, there was an interview that was done, like where she was outside of her house, maybe she was cute. I'm so sorry. I don't understand this. I don't know what happens. And I don't know.
You didn't get that from
Yeah.
or you didn't get.
Yeah, I think she knew this was terrible for her.
Yeah.
Because she is talking about this case, and all these other people are very. And one thing that came out, so when this revelation came out that there was 3 potential poisonings outside of it.
Yeah.
I think maybe some of the children were like his siblings and Wilkinson's like, did you ever think that she would actually do something against them? And he never thought. He thought she would only take out her ego. And he feels
Sure.
He did not
He was
stop.
supposed to be. Yeah, but he was supposed to be there.
to be there too, and he would have been poisoned.
Yeah.
Sure as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes. And remember, yes, she said it turned. She be charged with it. I don't think so. There aren't any more.
She took the mushroom paste out. What do you mean?
There's very little information about her children out there, and the fact that they didn't also charge her with other poisonings of Simon, maybe they're not charged her with anything. So they probably should. I agree. It's a good thing for children. Right. And they're young. They're probably in their teens. It's just tragic because they lost their mother.
The
the
grandparents.
grandparents. It's an albums.
Yeah.
It's devastating on these things. Yes.
Do you think at the very beginning she started with the mushrooms during COVID in 2020? Fed mushrooms to her kids and brownies. They couldn't taste it. They couldn't even tell it was in there. Then those 3 attempted poisoning that her husband gave. He's still not going to know that they're in there.
Yeah.
That they're probably dehydrated and flaked down
Yeah.
to nothing. Were basically practice runs. Or
Yeah. Could be. Read that he told a relative that he thought he did. And so, like I said, a lot like his was possible that she might drink poison. He just never thought that she would go
Right.
and kill his parents.
Because, like you said, they were like the family she never had.
They were, yeah, and they were very close. They were all. She actually worked at the church where Ian Wilkinson is.
So, does he have any?
He
What am I trying to say? Lifelong, like
He's-
injuries or?
Yeah, he's lifelong health issues.
did not have kids.
She did not have kids. No, not have kids. Was one thing now. So she lied about that.
Yeah. She never said she did.
Yeah.
She was implying.
She
Oh.
was dropping hints, like casually conversation, like, I'm going to be away from anyone.
I don't know how much time I have
Yeah,
left.
and
Yeah.
that was why they thought she was having them over for lunch.
Yeah.
And she was going to bring
Yeah.
cancer. And it was
Man, you almost wish she could have been at that dinner party.
I don't know.
No, you do and you don't.
Yeah. I just wonder what the conversation was.
Yeah. Like, you wonder if they ask, hey, you've been saying these things. Is
Yeah.
anything going on? Oh, no.
Yeah, no,
What do you mean?
yeah, already drank.
By the way, I don't have a food dehydrator either.
Okay.
Seasons period. So I do work.
Yes.
There's also person's risk.
All right. Okay. I'm not interested. Did it include death in mushrooms or was it?
I see going.
Yeah, I don't know. So the remains that they got, the remains of the bee villager was left over. They took to the police department. They investigated.
There's poison mushrooms.
This.
I still can't believe why she didn't get rid of it.
I have no idea. I don't think she
No,
is.
she's not.
Yeah, she's mental health. And
She got rid of the food dehydrator.
maybe she was hoping her husband would come over. And
Have some leftovers after everyone's in the
Yeah.
hospital.
Would you? Yeah.
That's why dogs Wellington Burley. No one's
I know. I swear, we took those right out of the box.
Yeah.
Wash our no.
Death cat mushrooms are not in the ingredient list on the side of the box. The box is right there.
Right there.
Because Ian is, you said lifelong health issues. Can he go after her now for
Maybe.
the 3 previous attempted
Um,
poisonings
So he
for
had,
to get financial support?
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure how it works. Australian judicial system with a civil case as opposed to a so it's possible.
You'll continue to follow this,
I
right?
will. Yeah, I don't know how much money she actually has left. So I
Oh,
don't know.
was she paying her lawyers with all that?
Probably. And they did build that house. They built that house together, designed that house together. He's an engineer.
Yeah.
In the first picture. And they actually were both going to live in that house. So they had some sort of relationship where they could were married, something together, and then of course they did live together. And
Who had the kids? She. Yeah.
although I think when
Well,
they
yeah,
before,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think he had them too. Yes.
If they built the house while they were married, one of her in-laws have already seen the pantry.
Because of my name, maybe she,
We don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look into the
Never really.
hit.
I have not.
When we get so when we bought our house 2010 and then we convert like it was small pantry converted mudroom area.
That sounds like I need to come over and look at the pantry.
Go
With you.
Bought your house and then converted. They built.
They built
Feel like
Yeah.
you know.
I don't know. Maybe she
Maybe she had a whole bunch of mushrooms in there, and that was really something to look at. That's what I mean. Maybe it was a mushroom pantry.
I have no idea. This very there at the pantry, which maybe that's what. Because they were describing it just like who's a normal thing. They just wanted to go.
What a boring family. God, they over lunch talked about a pantry in the garden.
Yeah, and the garden seems weird too because it was winter. It wasn't like our winters here.
No.
It didn't get that cold because they're like.
Who knows? Maybe she told them stuff to get them to come over.
She could.
You have to check out my new pantry. I did this and that.
Canned goods out of garden.
Yeah.
You see all the dehydrated mushrooms. Although I don't have the dehydrators.
Yeah, it doesn't ask me how they happen.
But I do think it's important to remember the victims. I'm just going to say a bit about them. So, this picture on the far left, those are Simon's parents, and there was a funeral for them on Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. And hundreds of people, because it was just, first of all, so shocked. And they were really just very decent. Known in the community. They were described as devout Christians who were guided by their faith and service to others. And so Simon Patterson spoke at the funeral, and he said, "There was no mom's text message in our family chat. The hospital was left alone to." It was a tough. And then Heather Wilkinson's funeral was on Wednesday, October 4th. So a little while after she passes away, but her husband was so sick.
Yeah,
Right. A month afterwards. So then she loved to laugh and have fun. She loved being a mom and loved us, her children. She was uncompromised with grace. She was thoughtful, faithful, and willing to. She was also very well known and very well liked in the whole. And so on Sunday, February 11th, 2024, this was Ian Wilkinson, where he came up to the church and his first time in the pulpit. And he said this, he said, "Let me encourage you to keep going. The way is sometimes hard, but God is good. He is with us. He promised never to leave or forsake us."
That is true.
Continue on with their life. Anyways, so these were my sources. So this mushroom case, you want to know more about this case. They covered every day listening to a podcast about this case. It's just blown up. I think everybody in Australia was listening to this. It was really interesting. I'm like I thought I listened to a lot of the summaries, but available on Apple Podcasts. Check that out. And then I used a bunch of different news sources. A lot of Australian newspapers who were covering this.
Yeah.
This was like, I don't even know any other, maybe the case was.
Yeah.
That was, maybe that was like the last, that was a huge case.
It was a huge case. We're doing it next time.
I actually don't mean to. I don't know. Okay. But like that was a huge case too, right? Does anybody remember that case? It was made
I think I remember it was a Seinfeld episode.
Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
They know each other.
Yes.
There's more evidence because she was trying for that case. She was trying for
Yeah.
number, I think. Yeah. Now they do that. It's
I
very
think
possible
I
they
remember
do
that
it.
hearing
Jay
that.
Cummins. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
And then there was a movie about it. It was a very. Hey, that's 6 years ago. And that's like the last big case.
No, that's what we should do next.
Our favorite true crime case.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like the made-for-TV movies. That
Oh
are
my gosh. Okay, does anybody, do you remember watching a movie about Benny Broderick? Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Who's Brady Brown?
Okay, she murdered her. I don't get too much. She's in prison currently for murdering her ex-husband and his unrelated. It's available on Amazon Prime. You can watch it there.
Or is this like a new? Lisa's not the 70s.
It's really good. This kind of
They're so corny.
There's so good ones.
Are there? With Meryl Streep.
She was.
That there are recipes for individual beef. Good.
Oh, I don't know about that. Now you're gonna think twice about eating that.
No.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. Beef Wellington bites.
Yeah.
It's actually really hard to. Seems very difficult to make. Does anybody else have any questions?
Get it all out of your system.
I've hit hands. God, nice meeting. Nice job. Go ahead.
Not really.
What's that? Said fun.
Oh, this was. It was tough. These kids, I know Jenny and I have always said this, but like, I heard about this. Oh, yeah, somebody knew. She plays a it's her in it. And there's a lot more to this. Like, I can't be. I listen to 5 or 6 these stories. Each one of them was 40 minutes. Doing all these different things.
I know.
Australia and legal system. Yeah, it's interesting. Pantries and gardens, websites.
So we are going to be starting a Facebook page for crime. I guess we'll start with CrimeCon.
Which we're going to next.
Yeah. So if you want to follow us along at CrimeCon, make sure you follow us. We'll post it to our regular Facebook page first. Alexis, I'm not telling stories. Okay. All right.
Peppers.
Oh no, there's the Crime Expo here. I think
We're talking.
I think we're doing something. We'll be there.
We got to figure out the regular. The regulars. But it will be off the term.
We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about critique.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did update this.
it would be.
For
Yeah,
sure,
this would be a good one.
Children's
Yeah.
and the appeal, maybe 28 days.
Keep me posted.
We'll
Keep us all
Yeah.
posted.
Maybe we'll talk about this across time. I don't know. It's 2:30. I don't
Crime Expo.
know. Prime. I don't know. Those days to be there. I don't know. Yeah, this is something you might talk about next year. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
looking for any experts. I'll share 'em.